And as you'll notice as you go down through there, we talked about prospecting. We talked about the meet and greet. We talked about building. So we got the meet and greet. You got to add that on top of there, the 5 product selection questions. Now we're going to go to the needs assessment. We had to have got the customer here in front of us. We had to have done the meet and greet. We had to have built rapport before we can start taking withdrawals out. We talk about this all the time. We've got to make deposits in the bank before we can take a withdrawal. Now y'all think of it as the withdrawal we're taking out is buying the car. But see, there's small withdrawals we take out the entire process, right? We do. Like when we invite somebody to come in, hey, follow me this way, let me get some information from you. Hey, let's go ahead and take a look at your current car. All of those are point times when a customer can say what? No. Our check could bounce. When we get ready to go on a test drive, the customer could say no, couldn't they? Our check could bounce there because we've not made enough deposits in the bank first. So the easiest way to explain this is if you just open a checking account today, and if you don't deposit anything in it, your check's going to bounce, isn't it? If it has a 0 balance and you go write a $25 check, it's going to bounce. There's no money in it. Same thing when you're trying to sell a customer a car. If you have not put any deposits into the bank account, there's no value in there yet, your check is going to bounce. And your check is the question you ask. Like, hey, follow me this way, let me gather some information from you. Hey, let's go take your new vehicle on a test drive. Let's look at your current vehicle. Come inside, let's take a look at the figures. See, those are all trial closes. Those are all small closes as we go through the steps of the sale that get us to the next step. So you've got to have made deposits in there. We had to have built some rapport. And then we need to go through why we're going to go through the needs assessment. So as you look at the needs assessment, you flip a couple pages, your needs assessment's right there. A lot of y'all have helped me come up with this. See, this needs to be a book for you guys, not a book that Matt printed off here and I want you to learn it just because. I'm not selling the books. I don't get any endorsements for it. It is simply for you to be more successful at your career. So a lot of y'all helped me with these questions. You said, no, that's too many questions. No, that's too little questions. Matt, could you add this in there? And I'm continuing to add a line, take a line, and you say, hey, this works. This would be helpful if I knew this from the get-go. We could help structure a deal better. We could get customers on the right cars from the get-go quicker. So this is the needs assessment that y'all helped me come up with. So let's talk about this because there's a bridge in between being out there on the lot and sitting at the desk. It's not that y'all aren't good at asking the needs assessment. If the customer is sitting at your desk, you do a pretty good job with the needs assessment, okay? If I have a mail piece, okay, y'all are pretty good at a needs assessment because we told you had to. We told you something like the customer must do a needs assessment before they can pick out to see if they won their prize. The customer must do a needs assessment before they can pull a stocking. Why is it that I have to put the money part out there to get you to do something that would help you with your job? So I've hoped that I've done that and it's created a habit and then you're smoother with your verbiage. But you got to get the customer from out there into here. And it's pretty simple. So when you're out there, if you've built rapport with the customer, now it's not simple if you say, hey, can I help you? And the customer says, no, I'm just looking. And you say, great, we got a lot of trucks. And you say, hey, by the way, before we look at the trucks, can you come inside? I'm going to get some information from you. Your check's going to bounce instantly. Instantly. Overdraft fees, everything else. And they're heading out. They're heading out. But if you've taken some time and you've built some rapport and you've done the proper meet and greet, and I now know who Robert is, where he works, how many kids he has, where he lives, how long he's been in the area, so on and so forth. I'll say, hey, Robert, follow me this way. We're going to gather a little bit of information, so I'll make sure that we're looking at the right vehicle out here. And Robert goes, man, I just want to browse around. Robert, I got a little over 1,000 vehicles here on the lot, and I want to make sure that, in accordance to your time, too, and respect for that we're on the right vehicle when we're out here. Follow me this way. And Robert goes, man, I don't want any pressure. I don't want anything else. Robert, I'm glad you brought that up. Here at Lewis Automotive, we like to treat our customers like VIP customers. What we found, if we invest about 2 minutes of your time, we can shorten this process from the traditional 3 to 4 hours to within 90 minutes. Plus, you can be on your test drive within 5 minutes. Follow me this way. I got to keep as soon as my check bounces with Robert, I've got to reinvest. I got to redeposit. I got to pull out some more deposit slips, circle back around the bank a couple more times. I got to put some more deposits in. So if I go to Chuck's business and I write him a check and Chuck looks at me and goes, man, I called the bank, the funds aren't there. I'm not going to argue with Chuck. I'm going to say, hey, Chuck, I'll be back in just a minute. And I'm going to go back to the bank, all right? And I know this sounds crazy. Like, well, wouldn't I just pay him with the cash I was going to deposit? But just go with me. I'm going to drive back to the bank. I'm going to go into the bank. I'm going to deposit, and I'm going to deposit, make sure I have enough that when I go back to Chuck's store and he tries to cash the check and he calls to verify the funds, they say, okay, it's clear, go ahead. I got to do the same thing with a customer. So when Robert says, man, I'm not interested in filling out a bunch of paperwork, I'm just here on my lunch break, I just wanted to check out the trucks. No problem at all, Robert, I understand. Time's extremely valuable to you. I want to make sure during your lunch break we're looking at the right vehicles from the get-go. We got a little over 1,000 vehicles in stock here. Follow me this way. I'm going to turn, I'm going to walk. Is every single person going to do it? No, but the majority will. And I don't want to train for the minority. I want to train for the majority, okay? So you've got to get smooth at this because there's an uncomfortable, there's an awkwardness. I'm not going to stand up here and just say it's easy. Especially, I'm going to tell you, it's not easy if you've not built rapport. If I meet Mark out there on the lot and I say some sort of poor, weak sauce verbiage like, can I help you? And hey, those new trucks are cool, aren't they? And I'm like, hey, Mark, yeah, my boss wants me to do this needs assessment deal. Can you come inside with me? See, man, what are you talking about, dude? I'm not going to just do some sort of, hey, no, I'm not interested in that, not at all. So then Mark comes back inside, I'm like, and I say, hey, Mark, why didn't you do the needs assessment? Man, the guy wouldn't do it. He just refused to do the needs assessment. Was the problem that the customer didn't want to do the needs assessment or that I didn't have the correct verbiage? We're selling high dollar items. It's uncomfortable for customers at first. They've got to feel trusted before they'll spend $40,000 with you, okay? It's not bubble gum. It's not bread. It's not milk, okay? It is a large ticket item. It's the second most expensive item that they'll buy in their lifetime. We have got to build rapport. Our verbiage has got to be sharp. You sell $40,000 items. You're not a checkout clerk. You have to be strong. You got to be smooth. You got to use the right verbiage. And the only way to do that is to practice, to drill, and to rehearse. So, once you go through that, let's look at the needs assessment. And I want you to think about filled out. How much sharper are you? How much more are you in control of the deal? How much smoother does your deal go when you have a needs assessment? It goes a whole lot smoother, doesn't it? Not only that, if they can buy. If they can't buy, guess what? You have not burned your time. We're in the business of time management. Y'all seen me play the video before about the 24 hours in a day? I think is it 86,400 or 83,400 seconds? Anyways, remember it's going through there at the end of the day, your bank account, it doesn't roll over. You use it or you lose it. Same thing in our business. Now guess what? If Robert and Mike are both ups out there on the lot, and I pick to go with one of them over the other one, and I don't do a needs assessment, and I find out later that the one that I picked, I made the wrong decision because the one I picked is a 445 credit score and they're $10,000 upside down, and that happens, doesn't it? Yes. In fact, we've got a company that advertises they want bad credit. Okay? Like it or don't, that's what they advertise. In fact, they give an extra rebate if you have bad credit. Okay? And that's fine. There's more people out there that have bad credit than have good credit. So just learn how to deal with it, okay? When everybody else doesn't want to mess with it, we'll mess with it. Let's just mess with it in an efficient manner. Okay? I'm okay. I'm okay with dealing with 450 credit score. I'm okay with dealing with somebody that's $20,000 upside down. I'm not okay with investing 3 hours of my time before I bring that to surface. So I've got to sit them down, I've got to go through the needs assessment, so on and so forth. So quit treating everybody like they're a 900 credit score and they've spent 30 hours on the internet and they've used the online calculators. They know what they can afford and they know how much a $50,000 computes to monthly budget-wise. They don't. Everybody has all those tools out there, but it's very complex. It's very complex. So, you got to invite them inside. I got to invite Robert after I've asked about 5 questions inside to go through the needs assessment. Let's read through the needs assessment together. Obviously, we're going to put person's name, spouse's name. You know, you can grab a copy of your driver's license right then, so then we already have that on file. That makes it really easy to fill some of that out. And then I'm going to ask the simple questions and think about this. Are you looking for a new or pre-owned vehicle? And in that lineup, are you looking for a car, truck, van, or SUV? It's pretty easy questions, okay? Now, are you normally going to use your vehicle for business or for personal? You know, what 3 areas when you're looking for a vehicle are most important to you? And Robert, what I mean by that is if you kind of had to rank, we look at safety, performance, gas mileage, appearance, towing, you know, seating capacity, comfort, and warranty. You know, if you had to kind of pick 3 of those, what do you think those 3 would be in the top that's important to you in purchasing a vehicle? And are you the primary driver? And what's the main reason you're looking to trade? You know, what brought you to our dealership to trade today? I want to know the motivating factor. Because when I'm back out there on the lot and I'm trying to convince them to drive the third row vehicle, I need to replant in their mind. Because a lot of times, especially we see somebody in a Jeep or a sports car, maybe they're moving to a minivan. Maybe they're moving to a third row SUV. Let's face it, they're probably not really excited about giving up the lifestyle of the Jeep or the sports car. They're probably not really excited about giving up their 3/4 ton diesel to go to a 1/2 ton gas. So we have to mentally help and emotionally help walk them through that, okay? If not, there's going to be a wall up. So tell me about your current car. What year is it? Blah, blah, blah. See, my first question I didn't ask was, are you trading your car? I was like, hey, tell me about your car, Patrick. And Patrick says, well, I drive a truck right now. What year is that? It's a 2012 F-150. And then I'll ask him, well, will you be replacing this vehicle? Patrick, what are your current monthly payments? I don't ask Patrick at first. I don't say, hey, Patrick, do you owe any money on that? That's bad verbiage. That can come later. See, I need him engaged. I need him to admit to me that he's making payments first. If I ask dumb questions, I get bad answers. And with bad answers, I can't move to the next step in the sale. And dumb questions, bad answers will give me wrong information. Because then we'll find out later, oh, he did have a payoff. Oh, he is trading that. They'll say later on. So I'll ask him at first, hey, are you currently making monthly payments? He says, yes. And I said, to who? And he tells me. And I said, how much are they? And then I'm going to say something like, man, wow, Patrick, how'd you get those so low? And he's going to tell me. And I'm going to say, man, it seems to me you made a well-informed decision. And then I'll ask him, what do you like least about it? What do you like most about it? What do you like most about it? What do you like least about it? Where'd you purchase it from? And how long have you owned it? All right? So then the deal structure. I want to talk about this part right here because most of y'all get the top section really good. And then when it comes to this, you kind of start squirming, your voice lowers, you kind of slouch in your chair and you mumble this through just so you can say that you did it. I say, hey, Patrick, a lot of my customers, they structure their loan going forward with really a minimum of 10% cash down. Would you like to structure yours about the same way? You know what most of y'all say, and you tell me you do this and you circle the number. You say, hey, do you want to put your cash down? Who wants to give up their cash? Anybody? All right, so let me give you some deposits before I pull the withdrawal. If you will get cash down, here's what happens. Here's what happens. Your car deal is more viable. It is. Your car deal is more viable. In fact, your car deal, and I don't know the multiplication factor, but your car deal is more viable if you get $500 cash down than if you get a $500 bump on the trade. I know it's the same amount financed, but to the bank, you're coming to the table with a $500 investment, okay? That shows the bank that there's something in the savings account. That shows the bank that they have the extra money to make the payment. So if you're thinking in your mind, well, instead of $500 cash, let me just go work my manager over. I'm good at doing that anyways. It's not as viable that way. You might think mathematically that it is. Hey, we went from 29.5 to 29 finance. What's it matter where it comes from? It does matter because it shows the bank it holds more weight when they put cash down. So your car deal is more viable, okay? We're lowering the payment. So if we lower the payment, the customer more likely to say yes, okay? We've never had them say no to the payment going down. Here's the biggest thing. It puts them in a better equity position. When you put your customer in a better equity position, you're able to trade them out faster. It's just factual. If they finance less on the vehicle because they invested money, we can trade them out faster. This business, the business that you're in, It's about building repeats and referrals and continuing to build. When that 3-year cycle comes around, it should keep growing and growing and growing. The customer you sell today, you should take extreme ownership over it. Extreme ownership. What I mean by that is you're making sure that when they get ready to buy their next car, it's going to be from you. Now, one way to do that is to set up the deal structure right. You'll notice we never start a deal at 84 months. Never. Now, have we signed people to 84 months? Absolutely we have. But we don't come out of the gate going, hey, do you want 75 or 84 months? It doesn't put the customer in a great situation. Now, will we sign them on 84 months if it gets to that? Yes. But I'm not putting every single customer on 84 months if we don't have to. It moves their trade cycle from 3 years to about 4.5 years. So it slows your progress down 1.5 years. So, just saying there. Most of our customers. Next up is the sales tax. And I got to say this. Remember, you're in control. So when Matt and I are talking, I'll say, hey, Matt, the majority of our customers, they don't finance in their sales tax because it puts them in a better equity position and they don't really want to pay interest on that sales tax. Is that how you'd like to structure yours?
Absolutely.
I got to make the deposits first. Okay? So I got to make it sting with Mark. You know, if I say, hey, Mark, you want to finance some of those taxes? Yeah, dude, I don't want to come out of pocket with taxes. Now I got to make it sting. He's got to feel it. I got to say, hey, Mark, most of my customers, they don't finance in their tax, and the reason being is because they want to be in a better equity position. They want to finance that extra money, plus they don't want to pay interest on it for the next 72 months. Do you want to structure yours the same way? Now he's got to think about it. He's like, man, I don't want to give him an answer that sounds like I'm stupid. Now, I don't mean to make it sound that way, but here's what happens if Mark finances an extra $2,000. Now, some people, do we finance their tax? Yes, we do. But if Mark finances an extra $2,000 on that vehicle, an extra $2,000, he pays interest the entire time on $2,000 more. What's it do to his trade cycle? Pushes it farther out. This business, if you don't wrap your head around anything else today, this business is about building your book of business. It's not just about prospecting. It's about the customers that you have. Not only taking care of them in great service, but taking care of them with the structure of a deal. They came to you. You built rapport with them. They trusted you. So you've got to show them, just like knowing everything on the inside. It's a bad decision. Now, some people don't have the money to do that, and that's fine. But they at least had their next payment they're going to make on their car because we pushed out their payment 45 days. So if Mark's payment's $450 and sales tax was $900, I'm going to say, hey, Mark, at least I would use that next $450 payment on that, and then we'll finance you in just $450 of it. Because Mark's car's not worth more money because he financed his sales tax, was it? You got to think long term here. And the more people that you help go through this, the more people that will refer you, and you'll be able to keep them going in your cycle. All right. So then the customer information right there. Their name, their spouse's name, date of birth, social security number, current monthly income, employer, time at job. All right. Have you submitted an internet lead? If so, under what email? Here's why that's important. Here's why that's important. I want to be very transparent with customers. I want to be on the same page, but let's face it. There is a lot of moving parts in this business, and you can get crow on your face really fast. So the way to avoid that is by asking the right questions. If we throw in the email address, see if we just do the phone number, it might not pop up. But if we throw in the email address, we can see if we've quoted them a figure. We can see if they just left Springdale, or they just left Farmington, or whatever else, and make sure we're all on the same page. What happens if internet quoted them something, you flip the paper around, and they see and they're like, that's not what it was at the other dealership. Or they might not even say something. They might be like, hey, well, we appreciate your time. We'll let you know. We're going to think about it this weekend. They're going to go, man, why were they $2,500 off what the other store was? Why was the other store giving me $1,000 more for their trade? Or why was this, or why was that? Why was your internet department $1,000 less, or $500, or whatever it may be? Plus, if then we throw in their email address, maybe another store's completely worked them. Maybe this customer wouldn't give us their social. Maybe they wouldn't let us pull credit. But we put in the email address, and we do a search in Dealer Socket, and in the notes of Dealer Socket was, just spent 5 hours with so-and-so. they need $10,000 down. That's a way to see without them giving you their credit information that other store went through there. So now we can be more efficient with your time. Okay? Everybody in here wants to be more efficient with their time. And I see them trying to roll customers through there. But what they forget is we need the information. We don't need to skip steps to be more efficient with time. We need more information faster to be more efficient with time. Naturally, what we think is, hey, we'll skip the test drive. Hey, we'll do this. Hey, we'll do that. Hey, let's just look at figures, and then I'll go over X, Y, and Z later. We need more information from the get-go to be more efficient with time. So, transportation needs assessment. There's no memorizing of verbiage here, because you get to sit down and you get to ask it and you get to fill it out. The part of the verbiage that you've got to memorize and you've got to go through is a smooth transition, and it's uncomfortable. But once you get smooth at it, it's not a big deal at all. See, once you're under pressure, once the 2-minute warning's on in the game, you crank it up. It doesn't matter if you're tired or if you're not tired. It doesn't matter if you broke your big toe or your pinky. You say, tape it up, put me back in the game, and let's win this thing. You're not thinking about any of that. When you're at the mall, and we got 100 customers out there, and we're like, you put them all on needs assessment, you guys take control. You tell that customer exactly what to do. They're following you. Sit down here in the tent. I need you to fill out this. Let me get you a water. Let me get you some coffee, a popcorn, and you roll through it. You never second guess yourself. So what changes? How do you change mindset-wise Monday through Friday and you never go through this when it works so well for you before? You got to be smooth from out there on the meet and greet to getting them inside to go through this verbiage here. You got to make the deposits. Robert said it a bunch of times. You know, you've got to give the deposits on the time, and so we're on the right vehicle. You know, if you're in the pre-owned side, so we look at the nicest vehicle with the most amount of equipment with the least amount of miles that fits in your budget. This is going to help us do that, because this right out here is just a small representation of our inventory. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
When we look out the front door here, is that the majority of our inventory or just a small representation? It's just a small representation. So instead of walking around the lot and trying to just wear the customer out, because that's old school theory, people aren't going to let you do that anymore. They're going to be at the end of their rope by the time you get ready to start asking the correct questions. You've got to sit down, you've got to go through this with them, okay? So as we practice, we drill, and we rehearse today, I want the verbiage. And customer, I want you to go ahead and give a couple objections, all right? I want the verbiage on how you get them from out there on the lot to inside. I want a couple objections. Get inside and start going through these questions right here, okay? Don't actually fill them out because I want you to keep a clean copy for yourself, but I want you to ask every single question, okay? Customers, you're their coach too. So make sure when we get to the 10% down, make sure when you get to the sales tax, don't let them fail. Don't let them be weak there, okay? All right, practice time.